Hey there, if you've ever felt like your finances could use, a simple, clear plan, then you are in exactly the right place. Today, we're going to break down one of the most popular starting points for really taking control of your money, the 50-30-20 rule.
So, does this sound familiar? The money hits your account, you pay some bills, you live your life, and then suddenly you're looking at your balance wondering, wait, where did it all go? It's a super common feeling, but I promise it does not have to be your reality.
And that is the whole idea behind budgeting. It's not about restriction, it's about being intentional. It's about you being the boss of your money and giving every single dollar a specific job to do. So, what's a really simple way to get started with that? For a lot of people, the idea of a super detailed line-by-line budget can feel, well, pretty overwhelming. And that is exactly where the 50-30-20 rule comes in. Think of it as a straightforward framework that gives you a really simple place to start. Here it is in a nutshell. The rule suggests splitting your after-tax income into just three big categories. 50% goes to your needs, 30% to your wants, and the last 20% to savings. Sounds simple enough, right? But, and this is the important part, the real key is knowing what actually goes into each of those slices. All right, so let's break these categories down, because getting this part right is absolutely the key to making the whole system work for you. Okay, first up, the biggest slice of the pie, your needs. These are the absolute non-negotiables. A really good way to think about this is if you can look at an expense and honestly say, I can't live without this, then congratulations, you found a need. This category is the foundation of your entire budget. So we're talking about the essentials, your housing, your utilities, your groceries, and healthcare. Now here's a really key point. Only the minimum payments on your loans count as a need. Paying anything extra? Well, that belongs in a different category that we're going to get to in just a minute. All right, next up, we have want. This category is basically where all your lifestyle choices live. This isn't about survival. It's about enjoyment. It's the money you spend by choice to make life a little more fun and interesting. We're talking about things like your streaming services, dinner out with friends, that vacation you're planning, or supplies for your hobbies. Now, of course, sometimes there's a bit of a gray area, right? A basic phone plan might be a need for your job, but the latest, greatest smartphone, that's probably a want. It's really all about being honest with yourself about where you draw that line. And last but definitely not least, we have savings. Think of this 20% as your investment in your future self. This is where you build your financial security and really start working towards your biggest goals. So this is where you build up that buffer for the unexpected with an emergency fund, where you save for retirement or put money aside for a house. And hey, remember how we said minimum loan payments were needs? Well, any extra payments you make to crush that debt faster, they belong right here in your savings category. Okay, so we've got our percentages down, 50, 30, 20. But what's the actual number you're supposed to be using for these calculations? Let's figure out what your starting budget number is. Well, it's actually pretty simple. You just start with your total earnings, your gross pay, before anything's taken out. From that number, you subtract only the amount that's withheld for taxes. And that final number, that's your after-tax income, and it's the number you'll use for the 50-30-20 rule. Okay, now this part is really, really important. Your paycheck probably has other deductions, right? Like for health insurance or retirement contributions. Do not subtract those yet. Why not? Because those things are already part of your budget categories. Your health insurance is in need, and that retirement contribution is savings. You'll account for them inside the 50-30-20 slices. Now, the 50-30-20 rule is a fantastic guideline, but what if you're someone who wants a bit more, granular control? What if you're trying to hit a really aggressive goal, like paying off a bunch of debt super fast? Well, that brings us to a completely different philosophy, the zero-based budget. Now, that doesn't mean you have $0 in your bank account, not at all. The whole idea is that your income minus all your expenses equals zero, because you've already planned out where every single dollar is going to go before the month even begins. It's all about being proactive, not reactive. You're not looking back wondering where your money went. You're telling it exactly where to go in advance. Yeah, the whole goal here is that there's no money left just kind of sitting there unaccounted for. You proactively give every dollar a job, whether that's spending it, saving it, or even giving it away. You have to create a new detailed plan every single month, adjusting for that month's specific income and expenses. Now, does it take more work? For sure. But the payoff is total control over your money. Okay, so what we have here are two really powerful but really different approaches. One is a simple guideline, and the other is a detailed plan. And let's be clear, neither one is inherently better than the other. It's all about finding the tool that fits your personality and your current financial goals. You can see here the 50-30-20 rule. It's a fantastic starting point to see where your money is going without getting totally bogged down in details. On the other side, you've got zero-based budgeting. That's for when you want direct, hands-on control to hit very specific goals. So as you can see, each method has its own trade-offs, right? The 50-30-20 rule is super simple, but those fixed percentages might not work if you have an aggressive goal, like paying off debt really fast. Zero-based budgeting gives you that precision, but it definitely requires you to be consistent and actively track everything. And really, that's the main takeaway here. A budget is not a punishment, it's a tool for empowerment. The best system out there is simply the one you'll actually stick with, the one that makes you feel like you are in command of your financial future. So, whether you go with the 50-30-20 rule as a starting guide or you dive headfirst into a zero-based budget, the first step is deciding what you want your money to achieve for you. The only question left is, what job are you going to give your dollars? Thanks for tuning in.